Welcome back to Finn versus History. As ever, I am joined by Horatio Gould.
Oh, so I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything.
They're getting worse.
You took me by surprise.
They're getting worse. That was
just a feeble.
That was an Australian noise.
Oh, not the boys.
Not the boys. Where are the boys? Fucking boys gone?
Oh.
And this is the second part in our series on Richard III,
Yep.
or as we've named him, Beckham against Greece.
Yes.
Spine.
Yeah.
Where did we leave up to last time? He's about to become king, and there are two beautiful, gorgeous boys in his
who are
care.
in line. Yeah. Well, I think so. It's before the coronation, right? So technically, what is it? Because now he's taken the actual name. I don't know what his official name is. Edward who's
name?
beautiful boy one. What's his?
Edward V.
Edward the Fifth. Yes, Edward the Fourth son.
So
Edward.
what's happened is that
He's technically king, but he's awaiting coronation, right?
he's 12. His brother's 9 and has already been widowed.
Yeah.
His brother is 9, is a widow, and is responsible for the entire running of the country of Wales.
He's the most mature. He's the most mature 9-year-old of all time.
Yeah, he's nailing it. Really, he's absolutely nailing it.
He's going to collect his pension at 15.
Now we've called him Gorgeous Sweet Twink too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think his name's Richard of Shrewsbury.
Yes,
I think. Anyway, so where we left off was that Edward IV, the big shagger, who's married to Gail Porter on Big Ben.
Yeah.
The bald mistress.
Elizabeth Woodville.
Yeah. Big Shagger's died suddenly from eating too much.
Yeah.
And now there's a power vacuum.
And Woodville, because she fears for her safety, because everyone wanted her dead, but it was just Edward IV because she was married to the king, keeping her alive.
Yeah.
She does, which is a very interesting medieval thing. She goes into sanctuary. Do you know what this is?
Is this when you go to a church?
You just go to a church and no one can kill you. It's homey.
It's weird, that isn't it?
Yeah,
it's sort of like a sort of playground game where you touch base.
Yeah, all of this is a lot like a game, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, sanctuary, and they respect it completely. You can literally just run and you're just at homey and no one can get you. So she just goes to a church and...
But what's she doing in the church?
I think it's Westminster Abbey, potentially.
Does she just stay there?
She just stays there. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but it's great, you know? If you're ever in danger, you just run to a church and... It's just people waiting outside like, fuck.
You can do that now because no one fucking goes into church anymore. So they're like, where's he gone? I don't know.
Okay, because the decline of Christianity in this country.
Yeah, because
the safest place to be.
Churches are essentially just sort of squats.
Yeah.
They're squats for old women to drink tea in.
Right, yeah.
They're like Tory squats.
Right.
Churches.
Right.
In a sort of a normal squat is probably, I imagine, quite sort of leftist anarchist.
Sure.
Because you're so leftist that you don't believe in chairs or whatever.
Fine,
you think they're corrupted.
Yeah.
So, now Big Shagger's death means that at the age of 12, beautiful boy number 1 is technically king. But he's too young and too gorgeous to be king at this point.
Right.
I think when you turn 16, you're able to be king properly. 16, you can have a glass of wine with a meal.
Yep.
You can
buy and sell scrap metal.
You can sell scrap metal. You can learn to drive without passing your test.
Yeah.
And you can get married with your parents' permission.
Fine.
And you can fuck.
Yeah.
In a straight. You can fuck if you're straight, but not if you're gay.
But back in these days, I don't think they have an age of consent.
No, Gorgeous Sweet Twink 2 has been widowed for 3 years.
I think age of consent came in the 70s. Was pretty much.
if even.
Yeah.
Arguably. When did the age of consent come in, Charlie?
Modern wokery, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's absolute woke nonsense, the age of consent.
This is just the state overreaching, if you ask me.
Yeah, the nanny state.
1875.
Or the opposite of the nanny state.
Yeah.
The legal history, they're very complicated, can be summarised. The age of consent for girls was 12 in the 13th century.
First age of consent
was lowered to 10 in 1576.
Lowered? Now, who's campaigning for that is what I want to know.
Lowering the age of consent.
That is something.
When
was the first age of consent created?
It's very funny to have an age of consent that's 10.
Right. In 1576, English law made sexual intercourse with girls under 10 a felony, while acts with girls 10...
Misdemeanors.
So a slap on the wrist.
Right. So this is insane. So under 10, you're going to jail for being a pedo.
Yeah.
Right. 10 to 12, it's like petty pedo.
Yeah.
The idea of petty paedophilia is a concept.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So rather than breaking and entering, it's like, you pickpocketing.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
So what, is that community service for being an nonce?
Yeah.
Cleaning up litter picking.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's 12. He can't be properly king till he's 16.
Yep.
And so there is then a sort of struggle for who has the most influence over the beautiful boy.
Right.
So
who's going to be the regent, right?
Who's going to be the regent? Now, Fredo from The Godfather has been killed because he kept attacking his brother.
Yeah, he's been drowned
so he's out of the picture.
A barrel of wine.
In a barrel of...
Malmsey wine.
Gail Porter's favourite... what's Malmsey?
It's a type of wine that's like a medieval type of wine.
Okay, boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Gail Porter's brother, Anthony Woodville, and Beckham against Greasespine, they're beautiful boy number one's two uncles.
Yes.
And so I guess really the whole story is where the archetype of the British creepy uncle is born. In that Richard III is the quintessential creepy uncle.
Yeah.
In that he's got a mad spine.
Yeah, fine. All right.
He's got a little hand.
Yeah, okay.
And he... Why are you pulling back?
Just for, go on, yeah.
And he takes these little boys into his possession.
Yeah.
And then maybe kills them.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know. So, but essentially now there's a power struggle between Anthony Woodville and Richard. Anthony Woodville?
That's, Elizabeth's
is
brother.
He trying to come in?
Well, he takes the boy first. So when Edward IV dies, beautiful boy number one is with Anthony Woodville.
And though Elizabeth Woodville's brought a fucking shed load of her family, which has really upset court, Anthony Woodville is quite an impressive character. So he, in jousting competitions between France and England, he's the one they put forward. So he's like the ultimate jock as well.
He's like Chris Hoy or something.
And he actually wins against France. So
the boy looks up to him.
Yeah, and apparently he just has a very nonchalant, calm, cool, collected,
That's it's like an uncle you like versus an uncle you find creepy. That's what this battle is.
Yeah.
The only way to fight a bad uncle is a good uncle.
Right. Yeah.
And
the only way to stop a bad uncle is a kid with a good uncle. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you travel a lot?
I do travel a lot.
Really?
Yeah, and often when I'm out there, I am looking for ways to get connection to the internet, right?
Yes.
Sometimes when I'm trying to see if I'm getting ripped off, I might want to connect to the internet very easily.
Yes.
To check it if that's the case.
And you're going there with a fucking modem and an Ethernet cable.
Exactly.
Going, please, my friend, please.
Because one of the most annoying things about going on like a 3-day city break or something is you have to go to buy a SIM, install it, and just then take it out again. You'll lose the SIM.
Can't be asked.
Yeah.
I'm already dealing with the bad food, the smelly people, and
my inherent racism.
Why am I here? I can't even connect to the internet to see what's happening in Great Britain. And if you download the Saley app and you plan ahead,
your
can
travels
watch whatever,
will go off without a hitch.
Whatever hardcore filth you like from the comfort of your phone. You could be squatting over an excuse of a French toilet, watching hardcore pornography on your phone.
Is that what they're called, French toilets? Is that what you call a ladyboy?
Sorry, Paris. I mean Paris. You could be in Paris. No, I mean the squat. The squat ones.
Right.
Where they're not toilets.
Yes.
It's a hole in the floor. With two kind of shoe marks.
Yeah. I like the ergonomic grip.
The cradle of civilization.
Yeah.
The French. Saley is a proud sponsor of Finn vs. History. So if you want to save on roaming fees, download the Saley app now. You can either scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description and use the code TRUTHER to get 15% off your first purchase.
Hi.
So when Edward IV, the classic shagger, dies, a good uncle is with the beautiful boy.
Right.
And he's like, well, I've got this. And he gets some troops together. But then Richard, he's worried because what you don't want to happen is the beautiful boy to mature. That's the end of that sentence.
Yeah, nothing worse.
What you don't want to happen is
ruined. Spoiled. This boy is spoiled.
What you don't want to happen is the beautiful boy to mature.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. No, what you don't want is for him to mature and become king and then start cleaning up all the rival factions. Because that's what always happens, is that if you're in the wrong tent, when the boy becomes the full king, he will knock you out.
Yeah.
So in Richard's defense,
because
for what
as
he
beautiful
made
as a young boy might be and how innocent and sweet, they will grow up to be a horrible, ugly man. And who will kill you? That's the problem. Know, it's easy to say, "Oh, this boy wouldn't hurt a fly," but he's going to grow up.
In 4 years, he will start killing beautiful boys. That's the life cycle of boys to men.
Yeah.
So Richard,
are boys to men around at this time?
Sorry, do you want to place this for the dum-dums? I think this is
before boys to men.
Yeah. We're in the 1480s, so it's before boys to men. It's after the invention of the lute.
Yes,
Is
I'd say
it?
so. I'd say so. Yeah, definitely.
I'd say
Lute is just lute music is in the charts. It's peaking at this point.
I'd say it's my least favorite instrument.
What, the lute?
Yep. And people that like lutes.
But you prefer the triangle or the recorder?
Yeah.
Prefer the recorder to the lute?
Yes. Yep.
No, I think a lute's better than
because
recorder.
the recorder's in your mouth, so they can't fucking talk while they're doing it.
Right, a lute player's often...
Hello, sire! It's all that shit.
Fine.
In the bin. Put them in the bin.
Okay.
Although a lute probably has a good... you reckon you can whack someone over the head with it.
Right.
Do some damage.
Yeah. A recorder is just good for, shoving up your arse, I guess.
So now there's a power struggle between the two uncles.
Right.
And the beautiful
Clash
boys...
of the uncles.
Clash of the uncles. Uncle off.
Yeah.
Who would win in a battle between your uncles?
Probably my uncle Andrew. My uncle Andy, but that's by marriage. So I've got an Anthony Woodville, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be Anthony Woodville.
Because Anthony
Woodville's by blood, though, because he's Elizabeth Woodville's brother. So do uncles by marriage count? So I'm not blood related to him.
Right. Yeah, that counts.
Well, then he'd win, for sure.
Why? What's he like?
He's one of those very outdoorsy posh guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who only swims in the sea from the months of like October to February. As soon as it starts warming up a bit, he's like, "Well, this is awful.
Yeah.
This is terrible. I don't think I've ever seen him in water above 17 degrees."
Yeah, I get it.
He's like someone who stoically every holiday is like a Duke of Edinburgh expedition.
He listens to Diary of a CEO.
No, God no. He wouldn't even know how to use a phone.
Oh, I see. Right, he's that.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like he's got that sort of like kind of posh approach to holidays where it needs to be as much work as possible.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I can't be alone with my thoughts.
Yes.
So he wouldn't
Come on, in the car.
Right.
Let's go. Yep. In the sea, freezing cold, brilliant.
Yeah. It's just work in a different way. Yeah, totally. So now Anthony Woodville is, he's good. The one with.
Sorry, who would win out of your uncles? You got an uncle who'd in your uncle off?
I've got several uncles. I have one uncle who's a KC.
Right. Doesn't mean he can fight well though.
No, he wouldn't be able to fight well at all.
Exactly.
No. He could press his trousers though.
Well, he could maybe press the other uncle into a trouser press.
Yeah. I reckon he would. He's very, very smart. Obviously, he's a top lawyer.
Right. So he's a nerd who needs wedging, maybe.
He's tall though. I'm not sure you can wedge him.
Right. Fine.
I reckon he'd find a way to put my other uncle
in jail?
In a trouser press. I think.
Okay. Right. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's the story.
Back to the story.
Uncle off.
It's an uncle off, and Richard famously the way you win the uncle off is by taking possession of the boy.
Right.
It's a game. Richard doesn't have the boy. He needs the boy. So
sort of like the boy's sort of like a rugby ball, and it's whoever's holding it.
You can only pass it backwards.
You can only pass it backwards.
So he now needs to tackle Anthony Woodville,
who's
holding the boy, and running around England.
He's passing it to his brothers. They're passing him.
Yeah. Richard needs to get the boy, and then he needs to get it over the line, which is into the tower.
Yeah.
Right. That's the game. So Richard then says, "Well, I'm actually related to Big Shagger by blood.
You're just the brother of fucking Gail Porter.
Of the slut he marries.
Yeah.
So I need the boy.
Yeah.
And Anthony Woodville's like, "Well, come and get him, man."
Yeah. Fine.
I don't know if that's how it sounded.
Yeah.
And then that now it's like quite a sort of in my head they're quite horny riding on horses trying to get the boy.
Right. Yeah.
I think what happens is that they arrange to meet in Northamptonshire.
In a car park.
In an Asda car park. And Richard's going to say, "Who are you here to meet? Who are you here to meet?" And then Anthony Woodville's like, no, what? And then, So they're going to meet in an Asda car park in Northamptonshire and exchange the boy.
Right.
However, Richard gets there and realises he's been catfished.
Right.
Because Anthony Woodville has set up somewhere else.
Fine.
And then Richard is fucking livid.
All right, yeah.
Because he needs the boy.
Yeah.
And so he then goes to find wherever the boy is, and he takes the boy with an army, and he then executes Anthony Woodville.
Right, okay. I didn't know that.
He just kills him.
So he gets the boy back and kills Anthony Woodville?
Yeah.
In a battle?
No. He goes to Parliament and he says, "Woodville's a nonce." And they go, "No, he's not." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to kill him anyway." And they go, "Wow, okay, fine."
But to be fair, I mean, it's easy to see this as like this is kind of the moves of the time. Everyone's doing these sort of moves, right? To be fair to Richard.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
It's like you have to do this sort of stuff, and it's for his own survival and stuff, and everyone's playing this sort of game.
It's a mad game.
Yeah.
It's a mad game where you have to take a boy to the tower.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the boy, then you have to call it the
It's the rules of the game.
It's the rules of the game. It's the rules.
I feel like this is sort of like an American trying to understand cricket.
Right.
And it's like, what do you mean silly mid-off?
Yeah.
No, this is the rule.
It's the rules.
I don't know. The whole point is that. So you have to get the boy in the tower and kill the uncle. And
you throw 6 balls and you change ends. Why?
Well, yeah.
I don't know why. It's just the rules.
Yeah.
What happens now is that Richard gets the boy. They go down to London. Woodville's out of the picture. And they set the coronation.
They go to Madame Tussauds. They have a great day out.
Have a great day out. London Eye, Madame Tussauds. They go to the Devonshire, try and split the G. That bloke from Top Jaws going up to him, going, "Oh, where's the best place in London to eat?" And Richard's like, "Ah."
Yeah.
Best pizza in London.
Well, yeah. So instead of Top Jaw, it's shit back. Yeah,
shit back. Shit back, and it's
it's medieval Top Jaw, which is bent spine, and he goes
bent spine, and weirdly the ugly one's in front of the camera now.
Right.
The beautiful boy. I mean, basically Richard and Edward V is Top Jaw, isn't it? Because you've got the one with the bent spine behind the camera and the beautiful one in front of it. Right. So they have a great day out in London. They see all the sights, and then Richard, now his coronation has been set, the beautiful boy's coronation has been set for May the 4th.
Okay.
May the 4th
May the 4th. All right. So, because he's a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, he's a fucking nerd.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to have a Star Wars themed coronation that sadly we didn't get to see.
He was going
to dress up as Luke Skywalker.
Richard's
his child bride was going to dress up as Princess Leia.
Yeah.
It would be a torrid affair, and I'm glad he's dead.
Exactly. Yeah, and then Richard, all the while, his brother who's widowed, is like, "What the fuck are you doing with Star Wars? I'm trying to run Wales here, and I've lost my wife. Can you fucking get serious for a minute?"
That shelf is not... We need a spirit level, because that shelf is completely wonky. This is ridiculous. What is this plywood? We could surely get something...
He takes his phone out, the torch is on. Oh, for fuck's sake, how do you get this thing off? How do you get this off? It's on all the time. He's got glasses right here. What? Dad, look at this. Anyway.
Bloody hell, I'm already 9. Christ.
I'm 9, for Christ's sakes. I need a nap. So, what Richard does then is he postpones the boy's coronation by a while, like 6-7 weeks. He knocks it back into June.
Been rained off.
It's been rained off. There's been rain. You go, right, well, that can't happen. And he...
But it's inside. Shut up.
And he puts the boy in the Tower of London. Now, that's not a sinister move.
No.
Because the Tower of London at this point is like the Royal Palace. It's like Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. Well, it's just the most secure place.
Well, part of it's a prison, but it's also a Royal Palace.
Yes, sure.
It's not got that reputation as the Tower yet.
Yeah.
Arguably, that happens now, maybe, with what's going to happen later.
And they have no idea that comedian Tom Horton is going to start making content about living in the Tower of London.
They'd hate that. They'd absolutely hate that. Yeah, so one of the boys is in the tower.
Yeah.
The other boy, the fucking administrator of Wales, who's been widowed, he's in Westminster Abbey with his mum, desperately trying to just hold on to
the sanctuary. Doing the sanctuary rules. Yeah.
Richard knocks back the coronation, which is a weird thing to do. And I guess this
adds to the suspicion, maybe?
Yeah, because there's clearly scheming, and maybe he's trying to buy himself time. I don't know.
Right.
Or maybe, I mean, he's basically, when he stands up, he's at 45 degrees. So maybe he just knocks something and knocks it back up. Maybe just,
Do you want to get out the theories? Because maybe we'd start talking about the...
just to finish, what happens then is that then Richard then says that his mum, Cecily Neville, was a slag.
Fine.
And that Edward IV... I don't really understand this bit. Basically, he says somehow that Edward V is illegitimate and a bastard.
Right.
Because he says that Edward IV, the big shagger, was betrothed to someone else, and then that person she was betrothed to has since died, so she can't defend that accusation.
Right.
Basically, he manages to concoct the fact that the beautiful boy is illegitimate.
Yeah.
So then what happens is he crowns himself, and he locks both boys, the twink as well, in the tower.
So he's called Edward IV illegitimate?
No, Edward V illegitimate.
But yeah, fine. Because his mum's a slag.
He says, which is really, that's when you start to think, okay, you are scheming here. If you're calling your mum a slag to be king, that's like,
fine.
That's not really on.
Yeah.
It's like Prince Andrew going, well, my mum was a slag, that's where I get it from, so Charles shouldn't be king, I should be king.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah.
Is he calling his own mum a slag?
Yeah, he is. But I think the main thing is that he says that Big Shagger was betrothed to someone else, and that invalidates the marriage with the beautiful boy. Anyway, what I don't really understand is that no one really questions him, but I guess there's just a sense that he's the guy, and we should all fall into line.
Yes,
because we don't want to die.
Exactly.
Now,
because you can't go against someone who's most likely to get the throne, because if they get the throne, they're going to kill you. So it's like everyone's fence sitting and running to who they think is going to win.
So Beckham against Greasespine, he coronates himself. He ditches the Star Wars nonsense. He goes, I just have a normal coronation, and that's in 1483.
So this is the most common theory up until quite recently.
Now the boys are then seen playing in the garden,
right, in
like June or July.
Yeah.
And then there's the odd like, oh, is that them at the window?
Right.
And then they're just never seen again.
Fine.
And then this really is the mystery. Because also while this is happening, now remember, this is all Yorkists. We haven't talked about the Lancastrian, the Ade side of the family, John of Ade's side, Margaret of Anjou, Smelly.
Biden from birth.
Now he's dead, and so is his heir Edward. But Margaret of Anjou's still doing stuff, I reckon.
Right.
She dies 82.
So that's before this?
No, that's before this. I've got no idea what's going on.
Okay.
I'm completely lost.
Right.
But there's a rebellion against Richard pretty instantly.
Yeah.
As soon as he's king. And so what the theory goes is that he's like, well, if there's an opposition to me as king, the focus of that opposition is the beautiful sweet boys.
Right.
So I'm going to kill them.
Right.
That's the
classic theory.
The classic theory.
And during the reign of Charles II, who was the king who was restored after the English Civil War, they found 2 small coffins buried under the Tower of London with potentially the skeletons of these boys.
Found some skeletons, but it was mainly animal bones.
Right. And so because it's only recently been exhumed.
It's definitely not them.
Right.
Because there's like a pig's head.
Okay.
It's like a pig's head and a cow's shin, and like maybe a boy's rib.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the beautiful boys didn't look like that.
And then I guess the thing that casts aspersions maybe on this theory is it doesn't really open the way too much for Richard, so Richard loses Battle of Bosworth, right?
Yeah. So Richard's only king for he's like less than 2 years, and then
Henry VII. Henry Tudor, who is sort of like a Lancastrian but still kind of lesser name. It's interesting after this crazy Game of Thrones that this guy ends up winning, Henry VII. Henry VIII's dad, right? Yeah. He's sort of this Welsh nobleman. He ends up marrying the sweet boy's sister.
The horribly ugly daughter. Yes.
But before that, he defeats Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth, famously depicted in Shakespeare. My kingdom for a horse.
A horse, my kingdom for a horse.
A horse, my kingdom for a horse.
My kingdom, a horse for my kingdom.
Where am I?
Yeah. Well, hello? What's going on?
Yeah.
So the Battle of Bosworth is in 1485.
Yeah.
That's Richard III dies, the last king to die in battle.
Yeah.
What happens is that him and Henry Tudor are fighting, and Richard's, I want to say like stepbrother or something is called maybe Lord Stafford.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't care. Anyway, there's like this third army that's watching, and there's this whole thing about like whose side are you going to join?
Oh, they're just going to see who's doing better.
They're basically like, we're going to see who's going to do better.
Oh, right.
And Richard third, Beckham against Greece, he gambles, and he's like, the night before, he's like, oh, if you don't join me, I'll like, I don't know, kill your sister or something. And then he's like, fine, I don't care. She's my sister. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
Because that's not a threat to the medieval period. It's like, brilliant. I don't have a sister anymore.
I've got 15 sisters.
I've got 15 sisters. They all smell. I don't like them.
Yeah. Right.
Then he basically goes into battle, and Richard III is beating Henry VII's army, Henry Tudor's army. But then, last minute, fucking super sub, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, comes on, Stafford, whatever his name is, down the hill, and then wipes all the Richard out. Richard gets knocked off his horse. He says his favourite line, "I want a horse."
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
A horse.
Where's my horse gone? Fuck.
Yeah, the famous immortal line. Oh fuck! I'm off a horse.
Fuck! My
shit!
I'm falling off my horse. Ouch! Ouch!
Yeah. Immortal.
The immortal Shakespeare lines. Fuck! I've lost my horse. And then what happens is he's several men. Bear in mind, this man is disabled in modern day language. He's fallen off a horse. Maybe actually for the first time, if he's fallen off on the right side, maybe his spine straightened.
Yeah, maybe.
If he fell off,
I'm fixed. Oh no, I'm dead.
Ouch! Oh, bang, dead. So he then...
But they, 6 or 7 people hacked him to death because it's very bad luck, I guess, if you're superstitious, to murder a king, a disabled one at that. So they kind of all do it together to sort of share the burden.
The blows
so it's not
rain
one
down
person.
on his head. They basically like fuck him up from behind, break his spine, and then they strip him naked, and they flop him over the side of a horse, and then they shove arrows in his arse.
Why?
And up his arse and like in his butt cheeks. They're laughing.
Just all right, like Gaddafi.
This is what's funny now in this day and age.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And to be fair, I mean, it is quite funny.
Yeah. Okay, right.
It's quite schoolboy. Yeah. Imagine King Charles dies, you strip him naked, put him over a horse, and just sort of play with his bum as he's parading around.
Yeah, I guess that is quite funny.
It's quite funny.
Yeah,
right, it's quite funny. So... I mean, maybe not Prince Charles because he's an old man.
Yeah.
If Prince Charles was a young... Prince William dies...
If Prince William was kind of young disabled man...
It is mental,
actually.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, we like quite spicy stuff, but I do think shoving an arrow up a disabled guy's arse is maybe a bit too far.
I don't think modern society would cope with... Anyway, so that's the end of Richard III, and then Henry VII, Henry Tudor, to end the War of the Roses, he decides to marry... So Henry the Tudor is on the Lancastrian side.
Yeah.
You know, mate, champagne, bring over. He marries the horribly ugly daughter of the 2 missing boys, who I don't know what she's actually called. Elizabeth, probably?
Yeah, she's Elizabeth of York, yeah.
Fine, great. And then that starts the... they have a son who becomes Henry VIII, and that's the whole...
That's how it all begins.
That's how that all begins. But for the rest of this episode, we're going to be dealing with these gorgeous boys.
Well, so basically, because history's written by the victors, right? Henry VII ends up basically winning the Game of Thrones. Kind of last minute, no one had really seen this guy coming, but he swoops in at the end, ends up on the throne. It's still quite an insecure legacy that he leads, Henry VII, because there's so much has gone on. And to kind of make sure that his line to the throne's secured, it's very much in his interest to cast Richard III as a tyrant.
Yeah.
Probably what drives the idea that Richard III is this awful tyrant more than anything is the Shakespeare play Richard III, and that was written during the reign of Elizabeth I, and she's obviously a Tudor, so he's playing favour to the Tudor line by casting the king before.
He's one of Shakespeare's greatest plays. That's not a compliment, it's still a play,
right? Yeah,
so it's still quite a boring way to spend just 3 hours, especially because you're standing up, which is
even more.
It's torture. It's like Maoist torture going to the Globe. Now,
because as we've said, all torture methods for a little bit they're good, and I feel with the play, when the lights go down, you think, "Oh, this could be quite good," and then as soon as it starts, you're like,
"Oh fuck, I'm watching a play."
Do you know? Like, there's a bit of excitement before a play.
No, I'd say the
little hubbub before
the excitement. The excitement's the interval.
Right.
It's literally, oh god, a play. Ooh, ice cream. Oh god, more play. Home time.
Right.
Do you see how I'm always still fat in the head? I'm going to the theatre for an ice cream. How was the play? Well, the chalk ice at half time was delicious.
You're not even facing the play.
I'm just eating. I'm literally, I'm standing in the front with that guy with the tray, just being like, yeah, and another one. You know when people go into a bar in America and they sit and it's like, just keep them coming. And the guy just gives them the bottle. He just gives me the tray of chalk ice. It's not like, I'll just take that. So I heard a theory on a podcast, again, quite boring, that Shakespeare was actually the way he paints Richard III, he's actually painting a guy who was around at the time called fucking, I don't know, Cecily or something, and he had a hunchback, and he was a pretender to the throne, and he was a cunning guy.
Fine.
And so that when everyone at the time would see the play, they'd be like, in a very have I got news for you way, this is actually this
satire.
Guy. Because this
very
guy...
wry, very droll.
Very droll. Get this on Radio 4 in the 6 o'clock slot.
Yeah.
People's father-in-laws were going, have you seen that new Shakespeare play? It's very funny.
Very
funny. Very funny.
Very droll.
I mean, it's a shame that the gorgeous Sweet Twink didn't live to see it, because he would have loved it. That 9-year-old who'd been...
He would have been all over that.
Have you seen this play? Oh, my God, it's funny. It's absolutely brilliant. My God. Hugh Dennis is an absolute genius.
Paul Merton's quick, isn't he?
Paul Merton's quick, isn't he? Yeah, wasn't Paul Merton quick? Anyway, so Richard III, the play by Shakespeare, could actually be about someone that was alive at the time.
Right.
And because in the play, he's got a hunchback like this, whereas in real life, he was like, hey there.
Yeah.
So anyway, how cunning he was, it's like judging it by the standards of the time where you don't have to be that cunning. Like what he does with the boys, that's kind of all he can do. Once you've taken a boy, you sort of have to kill them because.
Okay, all right.
Because
I learn a lot from you. These are all sort of tips.
No,
if you've taken a boy, you've got to kill him.
No, right.
Go on.
If you take a boy,
right,
and you try and give him back, you'll be called a pedo.
Right.
If you take a boy and then you kill them and they go away, then you're not owning up to taking the boy.
It's a tricky one because if you're the parent of a boy who's been taken, you're like, well, I hope they give the boy back, and you kind of want to promise that you won't. Look, don't kill my boy. Give him back, and I promise I won't call you a nonce.
If society,
but if he did give it back,
yeah,
you would be like, well, now I've got the boy back. You are an awful nonce. So it's a tricky one.
It is, but what society needs to get better at is not being so judgmental about nonces who take boys, because then the boys would come back.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
The nonces feel backed into a corner where they have to kill the boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop backing nonces into a corner outside an Asda in a car park.
No, they feel trapped. You've seen the videos. They're like,
I don't know.
And they just lash out and kill the boy.
Yeah.
So basically, the power games that they're playing, once Richard has got the boys in a tower, what's he going to do with them?
Yeah.
You can't keep them alive because then there will always be a flagpole for discontent.
Right.
The main theory is that he killed them. I don't know how. Smother them in their sleep, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I can't imagine I don't think you can kill a boy that's that good looking any other way, really.
So, because we don't know where their bodies are, it's quite a bit of a McCann situation where we don't have the proof that they're dead. They clearly are dead, though. Later...
Well, now they're clearly dead, yeah.
Perkin Warbeck, right, this geezer, comes in and says, I am the Prince of the Tower. Similar to the... you know the Polish girl who said she was Madeleine McCann?
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember
Which was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Can you just explain for people who might not know?
So I don't know what her name is. Can you go Polish girl who says she's Madeleine McCann? I have a lot of love for this woman.
Yeah, this is
I think
great.
she's a fucking legend.
She went on Dr. Phil, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was also loads of mystic influencers who are saying, I felt the aura. This is definitely Madeleine McCann. Basically, this kind of troubled 16-year-old girl who, a lot when you're a teenager, you often feel like, these aren't my real parents, there's a rebellious kind of Avril Lavigne sort of like, fuck you, mom, you don't fucking know me.
Yeah.
And she's taken it quite far because she was like, she didn't remember memories before she was 5, like most people.
Yep, I don't remember anything when I was 5. Yep.
And because of that, she put 2 and 2 together and said, I remember being in like a car when I was 4.
Yeah.
So I am actually Madeleine McCann reborn. Fuck my parents.
Yeah.
And her parents who are just very kind of like embarrassed, like, this is, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is really...
You're Polish.
Yeah.
Madeleine McCann is from Liverpool.
Yeah.
But then she goes on, didn't she go on...
Yeah, Dr. Phil saying I'm definitely... And then it came out...
They do a DNA test
Yeah,
and they
she-
go, you're not Madeleine McCann.
Yeah.
And she's like, what?
Yeah, and then she apologises.
And she's just there like drinking tissue.
But it's just a funny way to completely... For a teenager, just completely fuck over their parents to basically say, you kidnapped me, abused me.
Oh, does she say that her parents are the people who took Madeleine
Well,
McCann?
obviously, because
Well, no, because I thought she could have
she
been
was
taken by
sold.
someone else and then,
Right, yeah.
adopted or
I think she
something.
was sort of implying that, though.
Right, so Perkin Warbeck is the Polish girl.
And
who
she was
thought
like,
Madeleine
and I
McCann.
kind of remember when I was like 3, I kind of remember being in like Portugal when I was
Maybe.
like 3, potentially.
Yeah.
Just like adding all these memories.
And what's amazing is that the American audience, when you watch Dr. Phil clip, they don't know that they're like, oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, obviously he's not. And then she's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what this guy probably is, Perkin
Yeah,
Warbeck.
so Perkin Warbeck is like the Polish girl who thought she was Madeleine McCann.
Claiming to be Richard Shrewsbury, Duke of York, who was the second son, and one of the so-called Prince of the Tower. Richard, were he alive, would have been the rightful claimant to the throne. So he basically just rocks up during the reign of Henry VII and says, I am the Prince reborn.
And then was he then killed?
Yes. Warwick was initially treated well by Henry as soon as he confessed to being an imposter. Oh, so he confessed to being an imposter. Yeah. He was released from the Tower of London and was given accommodation at Henry's court. He was even allowed to be present at royal banquets. He was, however, kept under guard and was not allowed to sleep with his wife who was living under the protection of the Queen after 8 months of court, and then he was killed.
he's
Right,
killed.
so he admitted he was an imposter. So, you know.
But there's a theory also that Henry Tudor murders the boys.
Because it works perfectly for him.
Yes, yeah.
It plays into his hand better than anyone.
But no, because Richard's king before the boys go missing.
Well, what's interesting, listening to Philippa Langley, or whatever her name is, the one who found Richard in the car park, right? She went on Dan Snow's podcast, and, you know, she has dedicated 30 years of her life to this. And it's like, even more so than Jack the Ripper or Titanic nerds, this is a niche historical community, which is sort of like Richard III truthers.
Ricardians.
Yeah, Ricardians. I mean, I really could not care less about who did this, to be honest. There's some mysteries I really am interested in. This one, for some reason, I really don't care. But she does.
Yeah.
And she has basically said the best way to view this is start from a complete clean slate. So she's got all Ricardians and historians all over Europe to send her all documents from this period in Europe from the year 1480. Over a 3-year period when this could have happened. Every document.
Christ.
So there's about 450,000 documents. She's like blown up 3 computers. They're like, this is so boring that they've killed themselves.
It's like Hal from Space Odyssey. It just explodes.
And she seems to say, obviously we don't know what happened, but it seems to be implied that it's like the boys in the tower, they might have been alive for much longer. There's like, it's not clear that they were even killed. Like she's cast everything into aspersion basically, and we kind of know nothing. Is what.
Well, there's a theory that one of them ends up in Devon, living under a false name.
Yes, there's a lot of theories.
But then it's like, why would you keep him in Devon?
Yes,
and like you promise not to say I'm actually the boy that should
and
be
then
king.
the Duke of Buckingham is one of the big. If anyone killed it, it was maybe the Duke of Buckingham.
Yeah, and again, I don't know who that is.
The Buckingham Rebellion, the Margaret Beaufort theories. Some historians suggest that the death of the princess might have been orchestrated by Henry VII's mother, Margaret Beaufort, who's got a very interesting story that I don't remember, but it is good. We might cover that. Who sought to eliminate all rivals to her son's reign. Good mummy, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like a private school mummy, you know.
Oh, Henry Stafford, is that the cunt who's at Bosworth?
Yes.
Right.
In this theory, Margaret might have influenced or worked in collaboration with Henry Stafford, Duke of Buckingham.
Duke of Buckingham.
That's a Freudian slip right there. Duke of Buckingham. To arrange the murder of the princes.
He probably is the Duke of Buckingham in this day.
So he's a bit of the kingmaker, this guy. And clearly...
King fucker.
Yeah. Death from illness theory. Some less sensationalist theories.
Suggests that the prince has got a cold.
Right.
And
given the fact the boys were confined to the tower, it's possible they fell in and died of disease. I mean, that's very common. I don't know how this is not being covered, though.
What I don't get is that they disappear and then Richard dies and then Henry, and it's like, but no one fucking's like, where do those boys go?
What I don't understand is whenever I listen to a podcast about it, it's like the greatest mystery in British history. It's one of the biggest like moments of British history, but I just don't know why I don't find it that interesting.
Well,
the actual princess bit. I like all the shit before. I find the War of the Roses really interesting.
Yeah, but you're autistic.
But I don't know if the princess stuff is that.
Yes, it is. This is what dads read the Sun for.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's what they go into calves with red and brown sauce, and they get the Sun up. They go, "Where are those fucking boys? Where are the princes?" Yeah. They go on Question Time and they ask Emily Maitland, "Where are the princes?" You know, that's what this country is, right? They call into LBC. I'll tell you, did it?
Right, Daily Mail comments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what this country is. They're obsessed with young boys and where they've gone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But also, I guess, because Richard III has been painted as this evil guy, it's almost like those Michael Jackson interviews where he was either side of the boys, and he was like, "Yeah, they sleep in my bed." Yeah. And everyone's like,
"What,
Mike? That's not cool." And he's like, "Well, I never got to be a child, so I never had a sleepover." So
he's feeding his monkey.
Yeah. And everyone's like, "Mate, you can't do that." And it's a bit because Richard III's just like, "Yeah, I put the boys in the tower. What am I meant to do?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the shamelessness of it, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess there's so much underhand shit going on. Everyone's killing people to get on the throne, but I guess this is just because they're boys is what makes this stand out.
And they're his nephews, it should be said.
Yeah, shit uncle.
Is it worse if he killed them or fucked them?
Well, it's worse if he fucked them, I think.
Really?
Well, killing them, it's like, it's a Game of Thrones. Fuck them makes you just like a sick nonce, right? No, because killing them to get on the throne, that is just the Game of Thrones. You're playing your hand. Yeah. Fucking them feels like, well, that's not in the rules. No, but I'm looking through the rules of cricket. I'm like, I don't know where this.
No, but if you've caught them in the tower and you're the king, then fucking them is like your reward,
right?
But also, to be fair,
like winning a week at The Apprentice, and you get you know, you're the winning side
You get to suck off Alan Sugar. Is that what the award is? Yeah. You get to knock off Lord Sugar?
Yeah.
While Nick sat there going, oh, that's horrible. So, but also, what I will say in Richard's defence, if he has fucked them, is that one of them is literally a widower.
Yeah, he's been through a lot.
Is it noncery if the 10-year-old is a widower?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because age is a concept.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to talk myself into justifying
it's like a
paedophilia
6-year-old British dad who's come with like a 25-year-old bride and calling her she's very precocious. You know, those kind of guys.
Yes.
Oh, she's very mature for her age.
Yes.
I bet she is Ian.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a very precocious little twink.
But also in this day and age, people married foreign. The whole thing was you married a foreign Margaret of Anjou smelly. You married a smelly foreigner,
right?
Because that was the done thing.
Okay.
There's a lot of like at this point, I didn't really understand any of this, but like France and Burgundy are different places.
Yes. The Burgundians, yeah.
I guess they're all part of the same kind of smelly toilet empire, or whatever.
yeah.
The medieval latrine.
Yeah.
But they're competing factions. So I don't know. It's an interesting argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that age is just a number. Now that's a thing you say when people are old, but it's not something you could say when you're trying to justify how young they are.
Yeah.
That kid's 10. Well, he's been widowed. Age is just a number, isn't it?
Who do you think did it then?
I don't really. If Richard's banged up in the tower and he's already king, I guess he ordered them dead. I think he must.
You think it was Richard?
Yeah, I think it has to be. But I also think. What I think is he's been backed into a corner where his only out is killing them.
Yeah.
And that's not to justify nephewicide, whatever it's called, infanticide.
Yeah.
But one of them's been widowed. He's lived a good life.
yeah. But he's packed more.
He's had a good innings.
Yeah.
He's had like a fucking rampant 2020 innings.
Yeah.
Where it's only been 6 overs, but he's got 100.
Yeah. I really don't have a theory on it, to be honest. I should do, but I can't make heads or tails of it, to be honest. It was one of them.
Right, that's your take. It was one of these cunts did it. So we should then talk briefly, just to finish the story up. Richard III is obviously painted as this horrible disabled villain.
Yeah.
But now, because now you know how now there's that movement of don't give Bond villains facial scars.
Ableist.
Yeah, because it's ableist. Now I feel like the same thing's happened to him, where because he got found in a car park. And there's been this sort of, and that was celebrated as we found the last Plantagenet king, and we're going to give him a proper burial. And they did that. They did a facial reconstruction of what he looked like.
Yeah.
And then that woman was like, "He's so beautiful. He looks fucking terrifying. He looks fucking ugly as anything." Now there's been this almost revisionist kind of in the popular sense, because it's such a good story finding this king and burying him properly.
Yeah.
That I feel like that whole
he was actually Jude Law in The Holiday.
Yeah. He's not a disabled. He's not Blofeld. He's Jude Law, and it's that whole thing of going, don't give bad guys scars. Don't make bad guys disabled.
Don't judge a king by his disabilities or if he murders his nephews.
Well, they're two different things. Stephen Hawking cheated on his wife.
Right.
That you can't give the man this moral virtue because of his condition.
Well, one of his disabilities, he has to cheat on his wife.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Well, then if he's got a badge saying I have to fuck someone, that's not my wife. Then fair enough. He gets free parking.
Yeah.
All men arguably have.
There was a big argument. There was Richard III was on at my uni. The drama society was doing it, and there was a big hullabaloo. This was kind of in the peak of, I guess, woke. I imagine unis have never really been woker than when I was at uni. That felt like very much the peak of it. This is 2016 to 2018. This is
terrible.
Right in the. But yeah, because they weren't getting an actual disabled person to play Richard III.
Really?
They thought it was ableist to have an able-bodied person play that role.
And they don't think it's ableist to force a disabled person to play Richard III.
But they were scouring the whole uni to find a guy with the right disabilities.
But also,
and it's I don't even like acting. You'll fucking do it.
you're a mong. Get on the stage. But also, the word disability covers an insane amount of spectrums, from people who are disabled but can still win fucking Wimbledon, right, to someone who's literally a puddle.
Yeah.
So what Stephen Hawking is essentially
a
puddle. But then you're that puddle still managed to cheat on his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair,
that's his greatest achievement.
I don't know what that makes his wife. Yeah, he discovered a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But he also,
he discovered other women who weren't his wife.
He was pretty horny for a puddle. But So the idea that you would surely it's less woke to force someone who is in the wrong disabled subgenre to play a guy who had scoliosis.
Yeah.
It's like you're just painting everyone in the same, and you're forcing them to act. Maybe they don't want to act.
And also, it's kind of in Richard III play. It's just a fucking limp as well.
No, he's got a hunchback, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
Well, but then I suppose nowadays, because of the current obsession with neurodiversity, they'd probably make Richard III autistic.
Right.
And then the fact they go, oh, he killed those boys. Well, no, they broke his routine. And it's fine, actually.
Right.
Because actually you've got to be sensitive.
Yeah.
Maybe he had ADHD.
I mean, that would be ADHD is such a fucking lightweight disability. That would be quite an interesting interpretation that he just, he goes, what? Sorry? Oh, what was I doing?
Oh, yeah.
He just has time blindness.
Yeah, he just killed two boys. Oh, fuck.
No.
Oh, sorry.
So it's Richard III and all the actors are doing its scene, and when he's meant to walk on, they're just waiting for like 10 minutes, and then he comes in. Sorry, I'm late. I lost track of time. I've got ADHD.
I'm always late. Sorry about that. Sorry. And then he's on his phone. He's like, what? Sorry, what did you say? Yeah.
That would be quite a funny way to just have the character keep coming in really late.
Yeah. Who are they? Do I kill them? No. Right. Sorry. No. Yeah. I don't really know what's going on. I guess there are now productions of Richard III where there's all kind of everything's. I mean, is there ever going to be a full body disabled?
Well, I think a good production of Richard III would be everyone else is disabled but Richard III. That would kind of give like. You know what, they do things to make you really think about it in a new way. They'll have, if it was a black man and a white world, you make everyone black and the one person white, just to kind of like reimagine it.
Yeah.
And I think you would imagine what it's like being disabled more if there was just one able-bodied guy and everyone else is so.
Not if
like that I would feel pretty like weird.
No, but then
if everyone else was in a wheelchair and I was the only guy standing.
But then if he kills everyone in a wheelchair, then that's even weirder, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
If you go, this was a good guy. If the whole idea is that you're reimagining him as a good guy,
right,
and then he just kills a bunch of disabled people,
yeah,
it's not really, doesn't really work, does it? So we should wrap up.
Yeah.
Richard III is buried in. He's killed at Bosworth. He's hung over a horse naked.
A horny woman finds him in a car park,
and then a very horny woman from Leicester finds him in a car park.
Yeah,
and then she like starts. I mean, now what's she doing now? There's a whole image. I think she's running.
That's him.
Yeah,
oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, that's him there, and you can see his head's like, oh, because he's been. Yeah. Well, he was found with a big thing in his back of his head, like he's found with a big blow because he was smashed with a broadsword in the back of the head.
Right.
Can you get up the facial reconstruction of what they think he looked like based on the skeleton?
Yeah, and Charlie. So there was a Leicester Comedy Festival gig that I think Sean Walsh was on, and it's in the cathedral. And so it's right in front of Richard III's grave. Because look, Richard III's... Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, he looks like fucking Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, he looks like... I mean, that's who Lord Farquaad's based on.
Is that...
Probably.
Yeah.
The evil king.
Yeah.
So this is what they think he looked like.
Yeah, he looks like Lord Farquaad.
He looks like a woman.
Let's do Richard III's coffin. So this is... Yeah, so I think it's just... You can go look at it as a tourist attraction, basically. And so, there was just like a compilation night in front of this coffin. Yeah.
Well, you had to do a gig in front of Richard III's coffin. So now I think the same woman is trying to find the boys.
Yes.
Now, one interesting postscript. So the boys were obviously found in they thought the boys were found in the tower, and they were then buried in Westminster Abbey by Charles II, but they were then found out to be mainly animal bones.
Right.
And they exhumed that in... the 30s.
So the boys were animals?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a crazy theory.
So actually, Richard III was just hungry.
Right.
He just killed a couple of pigs.
Oh, right. So Edward IV gave birth to 2 dogs.
Yes. So I should have said that last episode. Sorry. Edward IV has given birth to 2 dogs.
Worst detective
with pigs'
in the
heads.
world.
Yep. Sorry.
Right. So they were dogs.
They were dogs.
No, it's
when they were doing some work on Windsor Castle in the, I don't know when, they accidentally knocked through into the crypt and they found another crypt. And this is the crypt where Edward IV is buried with Gail Porter.
Yeah.
And they found 2 child's coffins in another crypt. And they were given the names of Gail Porter's, Elizabeth Woodville's other kids from their previous marriage, except those people are buried elsewhere. So the theory goes is that the 2 sweet boys are actually buried next to their parents, but with graves marked with their half brothers' names.
Why would they have had the wrong names to stop them being?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry.
Or care.
I wish I hadn't asked.
I was just trying to wrap this up for the dum-dums listening.
I don't know or care. That sums up this podcast so well.
I don't know or care.
I don't know or care. Fuck
Look,
off. Stop asking me questions.
Fuck off. Why are you asking me? I don't fucking care. This is fucking boring. They found the nonce in a car park, and it's the beginning of the British obsession with noncery. That's why I wanted to do this episode.
Do you want to do a sum up of the family tree?
Let's go through the family tree quickly, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
So, to make sure everyone's up to speed, so the start of the early modern period in Britain, the start of the Tudor line, we go all the way back. Edward III gives birth to Lionel Messi and John of AIDS. John of AIDS is from Lancaster. You know, mate, I've got AIDS. Lionel Messi, hey, after Yosha. Messi gives birth to Richard Walrus.
Yeah.
Walrus has 3 kids, Big Shagger, Fredo from The Godfather, and then Beckham against Greece, free kick, last minute, spine. Big Shagger marries Gail Porter on Big Ben.
Yeah.
They then have 3 kids. They have a beautiful boy, number 1, a gorgeous sweet twink, number 2, and then a horribly ugly daughter. Now, on the other side, John of Aide's side, you have Henry V, who hates the French.
Yeah.
He gives birth to Biden from birth, brackets Charles Mind, who then marries Margaret of Anjou, brackets Smelly.
Yeah.
They have a kid who's also called Edward, but they die. And then Henry V's other wife marries someone called Owen Tudor, who gives birth to Henry VII, who marries the horribly ugly daughter to unite the houses, and then they give birth to Henry VIII.
And Henry VII ends up on the throne.
That should clear things up.
Yeah.
That's the Wars of the Roses.
Comprehensive.
Comprehensively dispatched. Richard III, we don't know if he killed them, but I do think he fucked them. He was found in a car park.
Yeah.
That's the definitive take.
If you want all episodes on Monday and a bonus episode every Friday, also without any ads, do sign up to the Patreon, become a truther.
It's also the best way to get tickets to our live shows, which sold out entirely on the Patreon. So maybe we'll see you there one day for more truth, more education, more academia. But
if you want to expand your mind, if you want to, get educated.
If you would like to change the things that you already know into things that are more interesting and less boring.
You know, when you're on Wikipedia pages and they say, please donate to support this kind of this wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
You've been using this free resource so much, but please that's what we're asking for.
It's Pedopedia.
Yeah, exactly.
Pedopedia, the Patreon. Either way, we really appreciate you stopping by, and we will see you next week for another topic.
Right.